teachers of Reddit, what's the funniest thing you've heard a student say that you unfortunately had to punish them for? Student, small dicks matter. Me, let's keep it school appropriate. Student, small penises matter. Couldn't help but laugh. A movement I can get in the behind. My girlfriend is a teacher. There was a little boy in her class who was finger painting. He stops, looks at his hands and says, "Now how the duck do I get this off? Don't leave us hanging, Opus." How the duck did he get it off? I assume with small children the school used washable fingerprint. Yes, young children have to be careful or their fingerprints will wash right off. What the hell is happening to my reality? Not me but my fiancée. She's a really great teacher, but was having trouble with this one class. One of the students asked her, "Mrs. Teacher, do you have any kids?" Fiancée, "Oh god no, kid, that might be for the best. Good lord, children are savage." Teaching a class of high school seniors. They were pissed about something and wouldn't let me get a word in. Worst asshole in the class raises his hand for probably the first time in his life, so I call on him. He says, "Thank you, Mr. L. I don't know what you're trying to tell us, but I think everyone needs to shut the fuck up so you can talk." Took everything in my power not to crack up. I didn't get him in trouble. He won a place in my heart that day. Seeing students produce quality work that even they didn't know they were capable of is hugely gratifying. And my absolute favorite thing about being a teacher, kids telling their classmates to shut the duck up so I can teach, is a close second though. You guys have it really good. I wish I had teachers that genuinely cared about their students. One of our students learning disabled dumped a glass of water on another student also learning disabled because we don't have time for naps today. We have to watch a movie. I cried real tears under my desk because I could not stop laughing. Hey, nap time is important. Kid in my class was given some bad news once and exclaimed "oh shit" right on my deck. It was inappropriate, but it sounded so incredibly genuine and defeated. My Englishy teacher, early 20s, fresh out of school, looked like she was in physical pain, having to punish him, despite laughing uncontrollably and feeling sympathy for his situation. I was teaching nutrition and garden education to second graders. Really sick, all hopped up on cold medicine on a rainy day, and discussing our agrarian community. Me, does anyone know any farmers? Kid, yeah, my uncle is a farmer. Me, nice. What does he farm? Kid, pot. Me, slowly blinks class, giggles me. Okay, we are talking fruits and vegetables here, people. Does anyone else know a farmer? How about Farmer John? Do you guys know Farmer John with the pumpkins? Babbling continues. Is it common for second graders these days to know what pot is? I teach pre-K. The kids were out at recess and one was riding a bike wearing his helmet, as he should. One of my girls walked by and hit him over the head with our plastic baseball bat. I asked her why she did that. She replied, he has a helmet on." I had to turn away and snort before telling her it wasn't okay to hit anyone, even if they have a helmet. Literally every video game with friendly fire turned off ever. A friend of mine teaches first grade. One day her class was watching Hercules, and during the scene where Hades is smoking a cigar, a kid shouts, "Miss, he's smoking a fat blunt." I can't imagine trying to keep a straight face when she had to tell her that she can't say that kind of stuff in school. This one made me laugh out loud. The fat part makes it work. When attempting to explain the physics of leverage and moving a heavy thing, I said you can move it the way the Egyptians did. Kid immediately piped, "You get a bunch of Jewish slaves to do it." 1. That's historically inaccurate. 2. That's fucking hilarious. Hysterically inaccurate. From South Korea, we were learning good at. I'm good at soccer. I'm good at English. Teacher. She is good at ugly. Overheard a grade 6 student tell a group of kids in his class that if they don't take their Viagra they wouldn't be able to please their girlfriend. It was surprising. So that's why I'm single. Never took Viagra. BRB. Calling my doctor. Not a teacher. But in 6th grade I remember one of my classmates who was a one-ape gangster, although super funny, get annoyed that our teacher was handing out papers with a new assignment on them. When she got to him, he said, "Don't give me that sheet." Everyone lost it including the teacher, but he still got detention for it. This teacher has had 4 last names because of remarrying in the last 5 to 6 years. An 11-year-old student was wondering why this teacher has had so many names. 11 years old, Mrs. Have you been married before? Teacher, yes. 11 years old, oh, so you're a hoe. The kid honestly didn't mean it to be mean. He just thought that is what you call someone who has been married a few times. Luckily the teacher didn't take offense to it and said, well, he isn't wrong. However, his homeroom teacher wasn't as forgiving. I went through this exact thing. A teacher started off with my class married, then got divorced, and went back to her maiden name for a year, then married another teacher, and took his name. This was all before 7th grade. We were so confused. To be honest, I'm afraid to call her by the wrong last name. I couldn't say with 100% certainty what her name is this year. I worked at an alternative ed school for kids who were expelled from their old schools. I taught a class of 8th grade boys, so I have tons of great stories. My favorite was one day I was reading out loud from the newspaper that Old Country Buffet was closing down, and one of my students said, "Are you fucking kidding me?" while simultaneously punching a hole in the window. I laughed so hard, but also had to give him detention and fill out a ton of paperwork. Edit. I'm glad this story entertained you guys. These kids were no joke. I had a full-time therapist in my room with me because it was such a liability to be alone with them. The kids had daily therapy sessions to help them deal with their anger issues, trauma, etc. Most of my students were affiliated with gangs and got in a lot of trouble for drug-related crimes. About half my kids were in detention centers before coming to my classroom, and a lot of them had ankle monitors. Old Country Buffett kid was an especially large 14-year-old. His file said he got expelled from his old school because he was very into the Twilight series and some kids made fun of him for it, so he beat the shit out of them. He did need stitches after the window incident. More please. This was from a friend teaching 2nd grade. Kit, Miss O. There's a bad word written in the bathroom. Teacher, what's the word? Kit, it's so bad. I can't tell you. Teacher, it's okay, you can tell the teacher. Kit, oh no, I can't say that word. But I'll give you a hint. It starts with *s and rhymes with *duck. Teacher. I'm a teacher, but the funniest punishment I know of was not for one of my students. It was for my son. My son is the quietest kid I have ever met. He gets extremely anxious. When he was 4, his grandfather died unexpectedly, and he got even quieter. For years, he did not generally talk with schoolmates or ever ask adults, besides me, for help. I had to explain this to his new teachers every year. By the time he was 8, it was routine to go to parent-teacher conferences and have teachers share he was a good student, but they wished he would talk more. I went to a conference with his 2nd grade teacher and she said, "I need to tell you, your son got in trouble for talking to friends in class today." I asked him to stop, and he still disrupted the class, so I had to put his name on the board. When you get home, will you tell him how proud I'm of him, and give him a high five? We had one of the best times ever at family dinner that night. This is more of something a student did. About a month ago I hear a kid yelling, "My eyes are burning." I ask him what's wrong, and he says that another kid sprayed him with something. I go to that kid, and he hands me a bottle of Warhead spray candy, and says it's just water. When I told him that water doesn't burn eyes, he replies with, "Well, I did put salt in it." Apostrophe. I once had a 7th grader come into class after lunch urgently telling me that she needed to go to the nurse. Her eyes were watering, and they were red and puffy. Turns out that she'd read online somewhere that you can get high by putting Vicks directly on your eyeballs. A really affluent town in Mexico had a problem years ago of kids getting drunk by pouring drops of booze in their eyes. Billboards and stuff were put up telling them to stop. Local high school had assemblies. A crazy amount of kids went blind before it was stopped.